This morning on the platform for the train, I overheard a conversation that just like fully encapsulated for me what it's like to be a working mom right now and how it feels like an absolute lose-lose situation no matter what you do. These women were standing next to me. I assume they're colleagues because they were traveling together. And they were talking about the guilt trips they got for going on this work trip, not only from their kids, but also from their partners, about the work that they put in to make sure that their kids were ready for them being gone. They scheduled people to pick them up from the bus stop. They had set alarms for their teenagers. They'd done all this work to make sure that their family was ready for them to leave. And it was so funny because I'm standing next to these women who are talking about the guilt and the work that goes into leaving their children for a day or two and how it's so hard for them. And on the other side of me was a group of men. There was like 6 men standing together and they were talking about everything but children. And I have to assume out of a group of 6, one of them has a child. And nobody's talking about that. They're not talking about that because it's ultimately not their responsibility or not seen as their responsibility. Women are held to this standard where we are told that our ultimate job is to be a mother, but don't lose yourself in motherhood. Don't make it your whole identity. But if you put anything else above it or even beside it, you are now selfish, right? Women are told that we can have careers and children, but if you go on a work trip, you're a bad mom. And if you stay at home and you only prioritize your kids, then you're losing yourself in that, right? Like we are told that we have to be all of these things, and men are allowed to be just one at any given time. They are allowed to be on a work trip and not worrying about whether or not their daughter is going to make it to swim lessons while they're gone. They can be out with their buddies, not having to worry whether or not their kids had snack. And these women were talking about all the things they had to do. Women are expected to do all of this work to make sure our families are being taken care of in our absence. Even when we're there, we're doing all of this work, right? And we're expected to have jobs and to have goals and to have dreams and to not just be a mom. And this is the thing. These women were talking about how hard it is and the guilt that they feel, right? The guilt. And the guilt exists because the standards are so high. You were expected to be at pickup and drop off and soccer and baseball while also taking all of your calls and excelling in your career and hitting milestones when it comes to your salary. Like you're trying to do all these things that men are doing, but with this other expectation. And this is not to say that men don't do both or can't do both, but they're not expected to. The standards aren't there, and so they don't have that guilt. When they go on a business trip, they're not worried about whether so-and-so has his cleats for soccer. They're not worried about what they're eating this week. They assume it's taken care of. Whereas women, we are often thinking, oh, do they have what they need? Are they going to be eating? Is he going to remember that they have pizza day tomorrow? Women have this like dual expectation and incredibly high standards that they're held to. And it feels like they're just losing across the board no matter what they choose. And so these poor women were going on this business trip and feeling awful about it, feeling bad, feeling worried, feeling stressed. And that is so frustrating because it doesn't have to be like that. Because I know when my partner works long hours, he doesn't have to worry about whether or not the kids are being taken care of. And I don't have to worry with him either. But so many people do, and it should not be like that. We should be holding men and women to the same exact standards, especially as working parents, because dads should be expected to be doing the things mom is doing at home, because until there's equity at home, there will never be equity at work.